I want to show you an old photo. This is the very center of Moscow, beginning of 1937. This is obviously Joseph Stalin in the middle, with Narkom and KVD, the head of the secret police KGB, back then Nikolai Yezhov, and two officials from Stalin's administration. This photo was distributed in all Soviet newspapers as Stalin and his comrades, including the chief of the secret police, were walking in Moscow overlooking the construction projects of the fantastic Soviet state. So, propaganda picked this photo up and distributed all over. In December 1938, 1 year later, after this photo was taken, it was erased from everywhere and replaced with another photo. This one. In the updated photo, Yezhov is absent. In the update. No, that photo was not retaken, it was retouched. Former head of NKVD, and that's how the KGB was called back then, Yezhov was arrested and executed 1 day later in November of 1938, and his name was never heard again until Gorbachev's perestroika, when the archives were open. And the images of Yezhov were erased from everywhere. Here you can see both photos compared side to side. If you want to understand today's Russia, Putin's Russia, you should know Russia's past. If you know the past, you will understand what will happen in the future. And I will explain it today. So please stick around. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, at this channel, at this program, you will not find any BS, lies, or propaganda. Instead, you will find plenty of truth, common sense, and logic. You will also find emotions because I'm a human being after all. This message, this live stream, consists of 3 parts. The message itself, then I invite everyone to a live stream chat where we discuss and I answer questions, and then we finish every live stream with a prayer. So, without further ado, let's begin today's broadcast. Sir George Orwell brilliantly put it: those who control the present control the past, and those who control the past control the future. I dare to rephrase it just a little bit. Those who want to understand today's Russia should understand its past. And those who understand Russia's past, they understand what will happen in the future. Today's Russia is a mess. In every imaginable way, economically, politically, socially, you name it. The country is on the verge of big human catastrophe. One thing that's very important to understand: Russia is changing very fast, and what it is now will not be tomorrow. It's going to be a different country. From a fairly normal country with many freedoms in early 2000s, it's quickly becoming the USSR back again. And I dare to say I know where things are going in Russia. Because Putin isn't doing anything original. He is following Stalin's playbook called How to Consolidate Absolute Power in Russia and Keep It in Your Hands for as long as possible. why am I comparing, why all of a sudden Putin and Stalin? Stalin is such a huge figure in the past of Russia, and then he's considered the absolute evil. But why am I comparing Putin all of a sudden? Because they seem very similar to me. And this is what I want to share with you today. Now, you need to know that in the history of Russia, starting from 1917 to today, 2025, there were four Russias. I distinguish how power was consolidated in the state, in the Russian state and the Soviet state, all same land. Now, and this is how I categorize these four periods. First period, Russia was Stalin's Soviet Union. Absolute power consolidated in one person's hands and absence of the system of political balances and checks. Now, the second period was the USSR from the death of Stalin in 1953 to the death of the USSR itself. Power was consolidated in the hands of a group of people, the Politburo. And there was a political system of checks and balances aimed to protect the Politburo itself. And Politburo, the major political decisions were made by consensus, not by one person. That was a great difference from Stalin's Soviet Union. Now, period number three was New Russia from 1991 to 2011. A period of diluted state power, almost non-existent at first, and then the state started taking it back, and a time of numerous freedoms. I call it the best period in Russia, in the entire history of Russia for Russian people, ever. And then period number four, it's Putin's Russia. It is right now. I will compare Stalin's Soviet Union and Putin's Russia. It'd be a relevant comparison because both strong men share the same goal, absolute power. Both are very successful at achieving the goal. Stalin was and Putin is. Stalin ruled Soviet Union for 29 years, a very long time. He achieved the absolute power by eliminating political competition. Trotsky, Rykov, Bukharin, Zinoviev, Kirov, and became the dictator with absolute power. The period of complete dictatorship followed from 1929 to 1953. Stalin personally controlled the Politburo, the NKVD, that's how the KGB was called back then, the army, and the planned economy. His power combined a cult of personality. That was a huge one, probably the biggest in humans' history. System of repressions, propaganda, and centralized government. Even after the formal appointment of the chairman of the Council of Ministers, then first was Molotov appointed, then Stalin himself became the chairman, he still remained the main decision maker in all matters until his death. This is a very good movie, and I recommend everyone to watch. It's called The Death of Stalin. It's a modern day movie. It was filmed a few years ago in the United States of America. Fantastic movie. One of my most favorite movies. It is considered a comedy, but it's not. It's I think it's very, very it portrays the situation of what happened when Stalin died. So I recommend everyone to watch it. Now, Putin is doing exactly that, what Stalin was doing. We are seeing the same pattern. He started eliminating political opposition. First, Berezovsky is the guy who financed him and actually put him to power. And that had happened very quickly within 1 year after Putin becoming the president. Then Nemtsov, then Navalny. And in 2022, the start of the war was the moment of birth of Putin's complete dictatorship. Just Stalin's complete dictatorship, Putin is in this period right now too. He, like Stalin, has personal control of current day Politburo that he carefully selected over the years, over 25 years, just like Stalin did, the KGB, the army, and the economy that he's making more and more planned. Stalin inherited the planned economy from Lenin, and then Putin is making the economy state controlled and planned. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Stalin, when he consolidated the absolute power, started what's called the Big Terror. Now, what was this big, or some call it the Great Terror, of 1936, 1938? Lasted for about 3 years. Now, the Great Terror was a mass campaign of political repression in the USSR that reached its peak in 1938, marked by arrests, executions, mass executions, and expansion of the Gulag system. The goals of the Great Terror were the final consolidation of Stalin's personal power, cleansing the Communist Party, the army, and the state apparatus of potential rivals and unreliable elements, searching for spies and saboteurs. The instruments that were used were extrajudicial troikas, so-called groups of 3 people that served as prosecution and courts at the same time, and executioners. Quotas. There was a minimum number of arrests and executions given to every employee of NKVD. Torture, fabricated cases, and closed trials. Now, major operations of the Great Terror were Order number 00447 from July 30th, 1937, this order targeted former kulaks. That's how farmers were called before commies, Bolsheviks took over Russia. So they targeted farmers, criminals, and anti-Soviet elements, launching mass arrests across the entire country. So mid-1937. Then there was national operations begun in August of 1937, such as the Polish operation, German operation, and other ethnic-based purges. The scale was mind-blowing. According to the official KGB and NKVD data, between 1937 and 1938, about 1.5 million people were arrested, and out of those, about 680,000 people were executed. Now, this is official data, came from the KGB, so we better believe it's sugar-coated. And I've heard different numbers. They are unofficial. I've heard numbers of executed as many as over 3 million people. Now, what were the key figures of this Great Terror? And this is important. I want you to know that. Genrikh Yagoda, he was the head of the NKVD, the KGB, from 1934 through September 1936. He oversaw the Gulag system and strengthened the state security apparatus. He directed the investigation of Sergei Kirov's assassination. That was an inside job because Kirov had a great respect of all Russian or Soviet citizens, and he could be a threat, potential threat to Joseph Stalin. Okay, so he was assassinated at Stalin's order. And his assassination was actually a turning point that led to tightening repressions. And most likely, Genrikh Yagoda was in charge of the assassination. That's unproven, but that's most likely what it is. And then Yagoda organized the first of Moscow show trials, 1936, so-called Dela Direktorov. And the few people were sentenced to prison terms, and I think one or two people were acquitted. And soon, Stalin deemed that show trials be too soft. Now, Yagoda was dismissed and almost immediately arrested, tried, and executed. Classic case of the executioner becoming the victim. Now, the guy who replaced him, this fella right here, Nikolai Yezhov, he became the head of the NKVD in 1936 and in September 1936, and he lasted through November 1938. He was probably one of the most bloodthirsty vampires Russia has ever seen. At his reign as the head of NKVD, the peak of terror was achieved. Yezhov initiated the period known as the Yezhovshina, the bloodiest phase of Stalin's rule. He signed and drove order number 00447 and the national operations, massively expanding the system of troikas and increasing quotas, giving out limits for arrests and executions. And those minimum limits were regularly raised under Yezhov. He led repressions in the army. The Tukhachevsky case, 1937. Tukhachevsky was a Polish general serving in the Russian army. Was, Russian citizen, Soviet citizen. He was one of the most brilliant generals, and obviously they executed him. So Yezhov did lots of arrests among the party elite and among engineers, scientists, and, intelligentsia. The result of Yezhov's rule, the apparatus became overheated, chaos engulfed investigations and statistics, the economy began to falter, and NKVD started eating itself. Those officers of NKVD who were executing people became victims of the same system, of the same order, of the same actions of his colleagues, and many NKVD members were executed as well. Stalin fired Yezhov, replaced him with Beria, and blamed everything onto Yezhov. And of course, he executed Yezhov. He found the scapegoat. Now, Yezhov was dismissed in 1938, arrested soon after, and executed. Later, Yezhov was erased from all photos and publications in Soviet books and Soviet newspapers, just as Yagoda was. Now, Lavrentiy Beria replaced Yezhov in 1938, and he was the head of the chief of NKVD KGB, and later Minister of the Minister of the State Security MGB, until Stalin's death, 1953. And then, of course, he was fired, arrested, executed. I actually know a guy who was serving under command of that officer who executed Lavrentiy Beria personally. Now, Beria arrived as the restorer of order. That's a very, very familiar script to me. He curtailed mass operations, dissolved most troikas, but kept quite a few of them, reviewed some cases, and initiated partial releases. But repressions under him did not end. They just cooled down a little bit. Lavrentiy Beria started focusing on targeted terror and total control of Russian state and Russian people. That sounds kind of a little bit familiar, at least to me. What do you think? Now, special operations and extrajudicial decisions were approved by Politburo officially, but in reality, all the major decisions were made by Stalin. There was Katyn massacre in spring of 1940, execution of Polish prisoners of war. The genocide of the Polish was executed at the order of Stalin and supervised by Beria. Deportations of unreliable people in 1943-1944. Harsh punitive policies in annexed territories, and the post-war anti-cosmopolitan campaign that targeted regular people. After Stalin's death, Beria was quickly arrested and executed in the same year, shortly after his arrest in 1953. And it happened in Moscow, in one of the secret prisons of the KGB. An officer, mid-rank officer, was ordered to execute Beria, and later he was promoted, obviously, and he was made one of the army bosses, top generals. So Yagoda, Yezhov, and Beria all had the same function in Stalin's system, and all ended up dead. So, do you think that the history can repeat itself in Russia in 2025, 2026, and near future? Well, darn right. It is repeating now. Now, I would like to compare why it happened in the 30s. I don't even know how to call it. You can't call it a tragedy. It was a genocide of the Soviet people. Everyone who lived in the USSR, all those countries who had been annexed by the Bolsheviks just years later, the people in those countries, now they were in the republics of the USSR, they were basically executed. Mass genocide. Before I compare then and now, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you. The channel is growing slowly but surely, and I hit inside Russia 400,000 subscribers. To me, it means a lot. It means that 400,000 people trusted me to learn information about Russia, about my life, about Uzbekistan, and it makes me incredibly honored, proud, and responsible. And I feel great responsibility. And I give you a promise that I will continue doing what I'm doing. 400,000 subscribers is just the beginning in my books, and I'm just getting started. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for fantastic, amounts of view hours. Thank you for your precious time. Thank you for liking videos and sharing in social media so other people can watch them too. Thank you for your financial support. Patreon, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you for all the coffees you bought me at buymeacoffee.com. No matter what demonetized by Google. KGB is after me. Russian state doesn't really like me. It doesn't matter. I promise you that I will continue my stand and I will continue moving forward. Every single day you will find me in front of this camera. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to compare what happened in the 30s and what's happening now. That's interesting. Stalin's personal logic of power was constant search for internal enemies and competing centers of influence for searching for potential threats. This is what Vladimir Putin doing. Check. Economic and social transitions after forced industrialization and collectivization. That's exactly what's happening right now. There was a free economy, just like under the Tsar, before 1917, free market economy. And then the commies came and they started controlling everything. So now that's exactly what's happening. Total state control is growing. Well, it's not total yet, but it's growing. And instead of industrialization and collectivization, huge hits to then, Russian economy. Now we are having the war. Growing fear of war abroad led to mass spy mania. That's exactly what we're having in Russia right now. The foreign agents. More and more foreign agents every week. The bureaucratic dynamics. Local officials over-fulfilled quotas for arrests to avoid accusations of leniency. And that's exactly what's happening in today's Russia, in Putin's Russia. Check. It looks like Putin is following Stalin's playbook. Power is there in his hands. Political competitors have been taken care of. There is no political competition. People, the bright stars who shone, are dead now. Berezovsky, the guy behind Putin, Nemtsov, of course, and Navalny. And the political parties, without bright political leaders, but still, considerable force to be reckoned with. So political parties are gone. They're all puppets of the Kremlin. Economy is under great stress. Now there is a need to blame for someone for all problems. Before it was the spies, German spies, Japanese spies. Now it's the liberals and the foreign agents. And the refugees who betrayed Russia and fled, and now they're working from outside Russia to destroy Russia, Right there. The cult of personality is growing. It's growing tomorrow in my Friday Crazy News Update. I will show you how Putin's birthday, which happened yesterday, was celebrated throughout Russia by little kids. And you'll be amazed of the cult of personality that already exists. It's just, it developed so silently, so covertly. We weren't aware, and now, boom, it's blooming. All checks. Everything what Stalin did, what he went after, Putin is doing the same. Now, we are seeing signs of Putin acting like Stalin. You bet we are. Popular political leaders who could challenge Putin, like Nemtsov, Navalny, dead. Kirov, who could challenge Stalin back in 1934, he was dead. Bukharin, Rykov, Zinoviev, Trotsky, dead. Nemtsov, Navalny. You see, the idea is the same. The names just change. Putin's party members, well, instead of Communist Party, right now, the Communist Party is called the United Russia Party. Well, the party members get arrested every single day. There are hundreds of arrests now, just like Joseph Stalin arrested communists left and right. well, granted, it's not mass arrests of the party members, but you know what? Stalin started out slowly, just like what we're seeing right now. Executions? Ha! You know that in Russia, capital punishment is forbidden, banned. But are there any executions in Putin's Russia? You bet! Yevgeny Prigozhin, some generals, and many businessmen and executives, well, they're not arrested and executed in prison. Instead, they're just something happens to them. Yevgeny Prigozhin, in his private airplane, was, I guess, playing with a grenade. The official, he was not careful enough. It was the official version, but the witnesses saw rockets flying towards his plane and shooting down his plane. Okay, many generals arrested and died in prison out of heart failure. You see, Russian state, Putin's Russia, Putin's government is merciful. They don't kill people. Well, it's just somehow people die quite often of heart failures. Or they fly out of the windows. Stalin shot them, and Putin is letting them stepping out of the windows. How about that? Disappearing photos, like this guy right here. You bet. Yevgeny Prigozhin is a very good example. See, some things are the same, 100 years apart, but some things are very different. And those things are different: propaganda and the media. You can't just take photos of Putin and Prigozhin and erase Prigozhin and everything's going to be great. No, there is internet. But guess what? The Russian state is working real hard to erase all the traces of Prigozhin, everything, his photos, mentionings of Prigozhin, articles about him from the internet, and Russian propaganda is forbidden to mention his name. There are certain people and specialized companies that doing just that for the Russian state. And when Stalin was the head of Soviet Union, he had a team of retoucheurs, those photographers who were retouching, erasing whoever they needed to erase from photos. You see, the idea is the same, execution is different. I am absolutely positive the oppression system in Russia will get stricter, as it happened with Stalin. It's the same playbook. We're seeing the same steps. Stalin started out slow. Putin also started out slowly, but surely. And we're seeing that in the last 2 years, Putin's Russia is transforming with incredible speed. Now, will the history be repeated? Will be the Great Terror, mass executions, mass arrests, mass long prison terms? In a way, it's happening now, and I think that the history will be repeated if Putin is alive for a certain time. There are two reasons for that. The first reason is Russian people. I was researching this topic for a couple of days that I'm talking to you right now, and I was looking at the photos of Stalin and how people cheered Stalin, and I got scared because those Russians remind me so much of today's Russians. No one has made this comparison with the people back with Stalin and Putin, but I guess I'm the first one. I am seeing the similarities. Of course, not 100%, but the cult of personality blossomed under Stalin and it starts blossoming under Putin. I'm seeing Russian people cheering for Putin. I'm seeing they are ordered to do that and they comply. I see that they make the school teachers make school children perform perform birthday wishes for Putin and send dances, theater scenes, and so forth. The same kind of stuff was happening under Stalin. It's just, it was longer. Putin is just getting started. That is the reason number one why I think the system will develop. And the reason number two is there is no other way, really. If Putin wants to keep his power, there are two recipes for that. The recipe number one is money. He can flood everyone with money. He was doing that for 24 years. Well, there's a problem. He's out of money. Now, the carrots are gone, and the thing that is left is sticks. And he's going to be using sticks, and sticks is the repression system. The sticks are prison terms, flying out a window, extraditions from other countries to Russia, lots of heart failures, people taking their lives where they're, were never even thought of that. They could have that they could do that. People from all kinds of walks of life. The elites, they are under fire now. As I said before, as I mentioned, there right now over 100 arrests. The names like Timur Ivanov, Roman Starovoyt, okay, the Major General Moskalik, the entire Sergei Shoigu's team. The elites are under fire. Timur Ivanov was in charge of the entire construction department of Russian army. He's rumored to be one of the richest Russians with $62 billion in cash. That's how much he stole. That's probably not just his money, but it's the group's money. But he was on the very top of Russia. Now he's in prison. He's sentenced to a very lengthy term, and his heart can fail at any time. Okay, so we are seeing it happening already, and Vladimir Putin needs to put fear into the hearts of the elites and into the hearts of people. He cannot rule Russians with love any longer, because Russia is just going to hell economically. Instead, he will be ruling with fear. So he definitely is following Stalin's footsteps. Well, simply, there's no other way. That's all. When will that end? When Vladimir Putin is out of the Kremlin's office. When that will happen, no one can tell you. Pardon me. I think it'll happen rather sooner, but we shall see. Now, absolute power in one person's hands is a recipe for very, very bad times for any country. We're seeing it happening in Russia now. How did the Great Terror end, by the way, and what were the consequences? In autumn 1938, mass operations, mass executions were formally stopped, but the repressive system remained intact. In 1939-1940, some cases were reviewed, but most investigators were never punished. I don't know of anyone getting punished from the Gulag system, and the Gulag continued to serve as an economic backbone of the country. In 1956, Nikita Khrushchev publicly denounced the cult of personality of Joseph Stalin and the mass repressions. From 1956, it was considered the darkest page in Russia's history. Um, broad broad reviews of criminal cases, executions were initiated, rehabilitations were applied. Well, unfortunately, you can't really bring people back from the dead, So at least their names were cleared. And cultural legacy in Russia was in the Soviet Union was created that is still ruling the minds of many many Russians. The disappearing people in photos, rewritten encyclopedias and state papers, and fear as a social norm in Russia. And that is one of the worst things about Russian people, and they still have not overcome it. Now, before I finish, briefly about the disappearing photos. I showed you this one, and it's not just one, there were plenty. For example, another one, Stalin among generals looking at one of the newly built canals. Later, the same photo, but the generals, a couple people are gone. What happened to them? I think you know what happened to them. Now, this is another photo, very famous photo. They're right next to Stalin is Kirov. His his threat. Kirov never voiced any plans for becoming number one, but Kirov was madly popular among people, among everyone in the Communist Party. So he was assassinated 1938, and Big Terror was an excuse. His assassination was an excuse for the start of the Big Terror. And then there are also other pictures with people like Trotsky, Kamenev, Bukharin. They were systematically erased from the official images, and as a part of a larger policy of rewriting the past that Joseph Stalin and the USSR really pioneered. And I guess George Orwell, looking at the USSR, started writing his books. The Animal Farm, 1984, and so forth. Now, friends, thank you very much for coming. More news and daily snippets. My thoughts on current events in Russia are on Patreon. 9 news per day that I find significant. I post there for patrons, and usually one daily snippet every day. So consider becoming a patron of Inside Russia if you want to know more from me, and if you want to know more of Russia. Thank you so much. And now I invite everyone to join me in a live stream chat, which is where I answer questions and we discuss things. Thank you very much. Don't sign off, please. Do us a favor. Be a company in the live stream chat. It's on, and this is my most favorite part of any live stream. I absolutely love it. Now, this community is the best one on the entire YouTube, and that is the result of work of the incredible group of moderators, the best moderation team one could ever see anywhere. They are Lorna, Mami K, Harry Potnan, Bob S, and Amir Fasad. Thank you so much, friends, for coming back. Thank you for coming back every time and watching my back. You're awesome. I love you. Thank you. And usual suspects, the pillars of Inside Russia, those who are the Inside Russia community. Thank you for coming again. Now, if you want me to see your message or comment easier, if you want me to notice it and answer, please put it in all caps and put Inside Russia after @ so I see it highlighted in a large orange box, much easier for me to see. Thank you for coming. Harry Podnan just did the highlighting. Thank you, Harry. Good to see you. The Untouchable also did, and then I'm going to be... See, if I miss your question or comment, it's not because I ignore you, but it's just I missed it because there are so many comments and questions. So, The Untouchable. Could you please elaborate on sabotage taking place in Russia and its impact on Russia's economy, especially railroad transport? I'm going to make a separate live stream on that. Sabotage. It's actually a good idea to name it sabotage. It's happening. What can I say? It's happening. Russia is waging an unjust war. Obviously, there are many Russians inside Russia who are against. There are some who are full of fear and some who are active and brave. There are Ukrainian intelligence operating in Russia. Remember that operation with drones flying out of trucks? This spells sabotage. And they hitting oil refineries, and I guess they're going to be sabotaging the bottleneck, the railroads. So that's my answer. Could I elaborate more in a separate live stream? Baker Stock, howdy. Good to see you, friend. Leitmotif, howdy, howdy. Pat Scully, Pamela J, as usual, Scott Nesbitt, George Rames, Elsha, Andrew, Jeffrey, Dale, Arnie Cyper, howdy, howdy. Caught a live stream again, thank you for coming back. Aranka, long time no see. Sherleaf, same. And Austin, thank you for coming. I remember reading about Beria's predatory treatment of ordinary Russian women. Horrifying. Yes, there are still stories in Moscow. There is a house in Moscow where he lived, and women didn't dare to walk around. You just grab them off the street and, Pamela needs prayer for cataract surgery. Will do, though. Thank you, Lorna. Let me just grab the prayers list. Thank you. Shiva is here. Good to see you. Tyler Douglas. Hello. Elsha, what happens with the money owned by those who suffered accidents? Usually those who suffered accidents, they are either owners of some properties or businesses, large companies, or they are people who are in the know. Because Russian budget is being, how do I put it mildly, stolen. Now, I had a private conversation of a person who knows a great deal about budgeting, the federal budget, and so forth. That was the year 2015, I believe. And he told me, and then he never speaks with anyone with cell phone, his own cell phone, and he asks to leave a person's cell phone somewhere far away, and then he leaves his cell phone and just walks around and talks to people. He told me that his estimation, 80% of federal budget was stolen. 20% only made it to finance things that need to be financed. That was back 2015. And a lot of people that we have seen arrested and then heart failures and flying out of the windows, those people who were inside the money flows, who knew exactly where money came from and where it went. For example, it needed to go to Rostov school department. Instead, it took a turn, and some of it, 20%, made it to Rostov schools. And I'm just saying hypothetically as an example, okay? And 80%, or perhaps 70, 60, I don't know, took a turn and flew to Dubai, for example, or Cayman Islands, or the Isle of Man, or there's an offshore zone right in the middle of London. So people who knew the beneficiaries, who were perhaps the instruments in those schemes, they are the ones who fly out of the windows. They are the ones who ended up disappearing or something happens to them. Sam, howdy. Thank you very much. Saying congratulations on the 400,000. Thank you. Albert, wouldn't it be clever for the Russian leadership to establish an opposition that is 100% controlled? That would be an ideal mask to feign a liberal system. Well, it is existing in Russia. It exists. There are a few political parties that are officially in opposition to Russian government. They are the communists of Russia, the LDPR, Новые люди, the New People. Was it Справедливая Россия? I think that's another one. So there are the parties, opposition parties, present in the parliament. So, and of course, they're puppet. That was the brilliance of Putin to build this system. He is responsible. He is to blame. Okay, it's with his own hands, he created that system that is in Russia right now. Andreas Benz, Per, Ferrari guy, long time no see. Howdy, friend. How have you been? I even had notifications on. Didn't he get them from YouTube? Well, Ferrari guy, you know where to find me every single day, with some exceptions, of course. I'm trying to finish the live stream for tomorrow and actually present it on Friday. I'm gonna also 2,400 people watching right now, participating. I'm gonna tell you a secret. This is my 5th day, end of my 5th day without any food. I am fasting, water fasting. I will start eating tomorrow. Have had a decent amount of energy. It's been very easy fasting this time. Very unusual. But I have a lot of energy, and hopefully tomorrow I will present you Friday Crazy News Update. If not, then either on Saturday or on Sunday. Some people, hold me responsible, say, Constantine, you postponed it or whatever. Please don't. Okay, I'm trying the best I can. It's just this Friday news reports, they require so much time, so much preparation. So I'm trying hard. Gerald Stokes, I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm good. I'm good. Michael's recovered. So thank you very much for praying and for sending me good words. Ron Gravel from Canada. Howdy. You gotta be kidding me. Larry Barther's here. Ha ha ha. My goodness. Larry, I'm uploading to you. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. It's Colleen. It's not Larry. I saw the name and I was so thrilled. I thought Larry is here in the chat. Anyway, Colleen, how's your father? Okay, I'm sorry. I missed your message. Last week on Friday, Dad had a sudden severe bradycardia, slow heartbeat. Doctors intervened and stabilized his heart. Thank the Lord. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting us know. We keep praying for your dad, and he's such a great member of Inside Russia community. My deepest sympathies and prayers sent to you. Thank you. Carlos, terror was present in particularly whole Russian history. Tartaria, Tsar, Soviets, and now Putinism. Tsar I find most similar to Stalinism. You're right on. Terror was present in practically the whole Russia's history because Russia has always been the country of strong men. And when you're a strong man, the easiest and most effective way to rule people is by fear, by terror. Unfortunately, Russia never was a democracy. There were some periods in Russian history pre-Ivan the Terrible. There were some even areas with pure democracy, like Veliki Novgorod. Not too many people know about that, but there are some provinces of Russia that actually had elections. They were modeled after the Roman Republic. Okay, and they were trading outposts, and basically what Ivan the Terrible did, he conquered those who had democracy, and he basically executed everyone, literally everyone in those settlements, towns, cities. So you're right. It's been present because Russia is the country of strong men, the czars, the emperors, and that's its curse. Because when you have that, there's no way you can rule in any other way. You just can't. They take you down if you want to be Putin, Stalin, Ivan the Terrible. You just have to be strong, and you have to get the others before they get you. Uber Delgoa, do you know the concept of Russia as the third Rome? That's a bogus concept that was created. Of course, I know that. It was created by Russians to excuse the country's meager survival. Okay. How important is it in Russia today? It's non existent. It has been transformed. But it is the concept of the center of the world, the pillar of Christian values, and so forth, so it's complete bogus. See, Russian people, in order to live in a way like they are living now, they need to blame someone, the authorities and regular people too. Someone's going to be responsible for their meager economic misery, okay? It's America, the Satanists, the consolidated West, the Europeans, perhaps the Chinese. It's not them because it's them. Russians, Russia is the third Rome. Look at all those spiritual people and, look at all those Christian values. They can't fail. They're perfect. They're the best in the world. And if something happens to Russia, it's not their fault. It's the others, the enemies all around. Why do they want to take Russia down? To strip its sovereignty, whatever. Before it was just the enemies. They wanted the war. Now Putin is saying they want to strip Russia of its sovereignty, to destroy its sovereignty. It's the same idea, just different form. Why? Because they consider themselves the shining, city on top of the hill. And everyone around is making their lives miserable because they envy, because they want to be Russia. And of course, you understand that is complete bogus. Leitmotiv, this video sent icy pickles down my spine. In this age of AI assisted surveillance, how can we, the people, resist? Well, good question. Good question. And my recipe to you is exercise your political rights. Vote for right people. Educate yourself so you know who to vote for. When your politicians start running wild, go and fire them. You have all the rights to do that. You are the people. Russia, what? How can Russians resist? Well, they can, start asking questions. They start being loud. That's step number one. I think that in the USA you still have enough freedoms, more than enough to change your lives in any way you want. Shiva, I watched videos on Supernova or Exile Nova, and there's a lot of human violence. It is not Ukrainians torturing Russians also. We analyze, see that Ukraine only military targets. Well, I'm not sure what you actually watched. I don't quite understand, but right now there's the entire point of my video. There's a wave of terror rising against Russian citizens, and it's going to be executed by the Russian state, by those who are given right to apply violence. Now, the best movie I have recommended in the past to anyone and made me cry. In order to understand Russia, you gotta watch that movie. It was filmed not too long ago and it's banned in Russia. It's called Kapitan Tavstanogov Bежал. Captain Tavstanogov escaped. Okay, it's available in English, I think on Amazon. Out of all movies you watch about Russia, watch that one. What are you supposed to do when none of the political parties in your country represents your wishes? AJ Raffles, that makes two of us, because I feel no one represents what I stand for. My values are views are very simple. The values are simple, God, family, hard work, and freedom. And the views, you gotta get along with people. You gotta work with people. You gotta love people, and you gotta work for people. That's it. Complete freedom, state non-existent or very weak. And I don't know who represents that now in the world, not just in Russia. I mean, obviously, it's a joke talking about Russia, but in the world, I don't know any of party like that. Janice, late again. Well, thank you for coming. Rolf Steiner, thank you for coming from Switzerland. I love Switzerland, one of the best countries in the world. Future Europa fella. Rome is the center of Catholicism. Well, obviously, but we're talking about the third Rome. That's the concept of Russia's dominance. Russia's, not dominance, Russia's exclusivity, uniqueness. Billy McCrary, the beach was perfect to chill out, and then you have my attention with warm vibes. It's a necessary down to Russia. Thank you, friend. Thank you very much. Michael Clark, thank you. Fish potting, thank you very much. Okay, I think we are approaching time limit. Ron Gravel, is Alexander Dugin still a huge influence on Putin? It's hard to say. He was. He surely was. I'm making a series of videos on Surkov, on Dugin. I made one on Pavlovsky. Couple more people. I will make videos. I will explain. It's called the architects of Putin's Russia. Dugin is one of them. Incredible guy. Flip Flop. In Tashkent Breakfast Club, we have a philosopher and historian who was in the 90s in a philosophical club along with Dugin. They both were members. And the ideas Dugin represented were completely opposite what he's saying today. So he's completely flip flop. I haven't heard much about Dugin. Well, I definitely hear from him a lot. I'm subscribed to his channel. But I haven't heard of him. I think that he exerts less influence now on Putin. I think no one influences Putin any longer. I think Putin is out there in the clouds. His head is, he thinks he's the biggest, the smartest. It started, I started getting this feel once he outsmarted and outslide and outlied Donald Trump by flying to Alaska and all this, shebang, and showed the world that he put America on the knees. Okay, that's since then his head is, he's like semi-god. So that's the vibe that I'm getting. He doesn't listen to anyone. He doesn't need advisors. He's by himself now, in the league of his own. Thank you, Carlos. Ragnar, long time no see from Estonia. Thank you very much for showing up, and my heart warms up when I see you and other people from Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Thank you for coming. What are Putin's current activities in the Middle East? He's not in the Middle East. He's in Central Asia. He's like 200 miles from me right now. He is trying to win over influence in the Central Asia. That's what he's doing. Leitmotif, is Vladimir Kara-Murza still a threat? I don't think so. He's been silent since he was returned to the West. Well, he was exchanged. You see, Kara-Murza never positioned himself as a politician. He has always been a journalist, reporter. He's the voice. And he's been, for the most part, he's been silent. I've heard just a couple times of him speak. Arne, in regions where the police work has been taken over by the local oligarchs, has there been any reaction from the Kremlin? Where did you get this idea from? That the police work has been taken over by local oligarchs? No, no, and no. That is simply not true. I've heard once this opinion that the Russian police force has fallen apart and local forces start taking power. That is no. Russian police is as strong as ever because it's financed and it's given powers. Basically, they're given get out of jail card, every single policeman. So no. The police and the KGB are the rulers on the ground. Their grip is the strongest ever. Now, where'd you get this? Thank you, Lorna. Yeah, one more question. Please, where'd you get this idea that in the regions when the police work has been taken over by the local oligarchs? This is simply wrong core idea. Where'd you hear that from? Barnabas, in the past, I would not have agreed with your message today. I'm wondering how bad it'll get. Hey, look, friend, makes two of us. In the past, if someone told me this message, I would laugh it off, said, look, you're exaggerating. Okay, it's not going to get that worse. It's not going to get anywhere near that, okay? But now, we are seeing it happening. People die left and right. They're arrested. Their hearts fail. They fly out of the windows, things happen to them. Look how many people are jailed and thrown to like prisons for a long, long time. Look, it's happening. The question is not whether the terror will descend upon Russia, but how bad it'll be. And the last one from Rolf Steiner: Are Russians now only allowed to buy Russian Chinese cars? What is this 40,000 recycle fee for foreign cars? Now, well, quick answer: no. Russians are allowed to buy any kind of car that is on the market, and you can buy a Mercedes or BMW easily. It's just their prices are astronomical. I think a Mercedes, like an S Class, goes for 20 million, which is $300,000, something like that in that range. Because Mercedes does not sell directly to Russia. In order to get Mercedes, you have to fly to Armenia or China, get it from there, then ship it to Armenia, then ship it to Uzbekistan, then ship it to Azerbaijan, and then ship it to Russia. It makes it so much more expensive, okay? And now, starting November 1st, they are applying new recycling fee. How it's called in Russia. Utilization fee, they call it. So, and I made a live stream go about 8 days ago on Wednesday, not this one, but the previous one. I talked about it. Toyota Camry now is, I think, either $30,000 or $47,000 brand new in Russia. After this is applied, it's going to be increased in price by $15,000 or $20,000. So it's not 40,000, although for some cars with large engines, the thing is they start applying this fee after 160 horsepower. So the bigger the engine, the bigger the coefficient. So the bigger the ratio. So the large motors with like 400 or 500 horsepower, they're gonna be they're gonna be priced astronomically. Thank you so much, friends. I am finishing up the live stream. Please, thank you very much for coming, and please join me for the prayer. It's usual prayer that at the end of every live stream. Thank you very much. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for food on our tables. Thank you for roofs over our heads, and thank you for love in our lives. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies over our children's heads safe and peaceful, and raise them in a way that when they grow up, they will never be engaged in any war. Just make this world a better place. I am asking you to give us all parents wisdom, so we raise our children that when they grow up, they will do a better job than us managing this world. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, I am asking you for Ukraine. Please help the country stop the bloodshed. Reach out and touch the hearts of those who are responsible and capable of stopping the bloodshed. Touch their hearts in a way that they will make the right decision. The Ukrainians have suffered so much. They need peace, and the country needs peace. I am also asking for every Ukrainian person who's been affected by this terrible tragedy. Please answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. I am also asking for my country, Russia. Dear Lord, please assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords and knives, and have Saint Michael in shining armor lead that heavenly army of yours down to this earth to get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country, who we know by their names and by their faces. Please bring justice. Send your angels to help Russian people, good Russian people, to run their country, so it becomes peaceful, loving, and respecting. Dear Lord, I'm asking you to help everyone who is traveling, send them safe travels. Everyone who is in trouble of any kind, send safety. Everyone who's seeking for asylum, everyone who's fasting, everyone who is not feeling well and sick, please send recovery. Please help all those single mothers and fathers who are struggling, trying to make ends meet. Help all those who are helping Ukrainians, and help those Ukrainians who are currently under Russian attacks. Dear Lord, I am asking for all sick, cold, hungry, homeless, jobless, addicted, depressed, those who are losing their faith, those who are crying, those who are backstabbed, those who cannot see their children as much as they want to, those who feel abandoned, confused, whose hearts are bleeding, who feel, dear Lord, please reach out and touch everyone's heart, every person who is in need. Remind them that they're still your children, you still love them, you have not abandoned them, and you still watch every single step they take. Please help everyone in need. Dear Lord, thank you so much for so many people praying along with me right now, or simply some people watching us pray. 2,100 people, 2,100 prayers. Thank you. Please answer everyone's prayer here and make everyone's wish come true. I have some people I would like, they need your help, and I want to ask for them and pray for them, and I invite everyone to join me. These people are Larry Barth, who is not feeling well. You have helped him, and I am asking to continue helping so Larry completely recovers and goes back to his family. And please send recovery to Larry and send strength to his family. Please help Pamela with her cataract surgery coming up. Send good doctors, angels to watch over, and send quick recovery and successful recovery. Please help Helen, TMBC, Victor Garishan, Rod, Lee and Brenda, Janice, Rose Bronicky, Teresa, Ron Bazoid, Ann, Hannah, Jeffrey S., Katharina, Mark, Tom W., J.R. McKim, Gabing with Gary, Lisa, Harry, Terry, John, Linda, Paula, Dennis, Jason, Susie, Tim, Dory, Rhonda, John, Taylor, Darla, George, Ruberty, Pamela, Pamela J., Meta Spencer, David Porter, his family, and everyone who's in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Life, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey and Sergey, Ron, Liz, Koshkin Dom, Sandra, Mike and Mike, Petra, Joseph, Millie, Philip, Derek Martinez, Jeff Gibson, Renata, Janice, and Denise Abbott. Thank you, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thank you for praying with me. Thank you for giving me a chance and, joining me in this live stream. You are fantastic. You're awesome and you rock. Mods, thank you very much for coming. I will see you soon. Tomorrow, I hope. And don't forget that today, Daily Snippet is coming in a few minutes to Patreon. So tune in to Patreon to see what I have to say. And that's quite a deep thought today. Thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow. And before I sign off, as usual, Please say out loud as you can, along with me, the following. Carthago delenda est.